Ladies and gentlemen, I've been warning about this for a few weeks now. The GNU actually now finally seems to be at the end of its rope. I have said consistently that this GNU, the unity part of it, cannot work because you have two parties fundamentally within the ANC and the DA that are ideologically completely divided. They are complete opposites. Methodologically, if that is even a word, they're complete opposites of one another, and neither of these parties are highly pragmatic. We saw this already with the budget vote earlier this year, where the ANC effectively not getting consensus as their document and the law, because they signed this document saying that they must reach consensus within the GNU. As soon as the ANC couldn't get consensus within the GNU, they literally just walked out to other parties outside the GNU and got their budget passed, albeit with court cases and legal threats, sort of forcing the ANC to drop the VAT and stuff of that nature. But fundamentally, the ANC have proven itself to not be a great coalition partner. For the same fact, the DA isn't a party that makes concessions. It's not a party that is pragmatic in any way, shape, or form. It wants what it wants, and the problem with both of these parties is that both of them want to be seen as the saviors of South Africa, and they will not allow the other party to be seen as a savior unless they get credit for it too. So things are heating up, and Andrew Whitfield and the firing of Andrew really was the thing that sparked the entire mess that we are now in. And just to show you, we're going to be going through this article, and I'll show you how people from inside the government are now saying this is the end for the GNU. But Andrew Whitfield being fired by the president revealed a deep hypocrisy that the DA is simply unable or refusing to stand by. The president has ministers within his own cabinet that are not just people guilty of traveling abroad without permission, but literally people who have lied to Parliament. You now have the Hawks investigating the Minister of Education over her insistence that the decisions were made by a panel, and now you have 4 of the 5 people on that panel saying that they were never even at that meeting. Like, if there was a panel, they were certainly not party to it. So the minister outright lied. The ANC is protecting her. The president has gone so far as to say she's completely innocent of all of these charges, and it's complete poppycock. They're not going to listen to any of that nonsense. So the president consistently defends his own people. You have the Minister of Police, Mr. Makuna, who is literally accused of being a crime boss, right? Or at least being in bed with criminal organizations. And he stole the Minister of Police. The president has done nothing. But you travel outside the country without his permission, and holy crap, do you get fired fast. So obviously the DA is on a warpath. And the main thing that the DA is using is their refusal to vote for what is known as the Appropriations Act. The Appropriations Act is effectively all of the budgets for the 42 different departments, which is insanely we have, even the size of our country, having 42 government departments that all require massive funding is insane. But all 42 of these budgets are tied together in what is known as the Appropriations Bill. So right now, the way it works is, and they explain it here, in the first 4 months of the financial year, beginning on the 1st of April, departments can continue to spend in line with the previous year's Appropriation Act to a limit of 45% of the total budget. Thereafter, departments can draw 10% of the total budget per month. This effectively means that departments will run out of money, right? Because they're not able to actually spend the money that they are given. The big problem with the Appropriations Act, or the bill, is that if one of these budgets fail, literally just one, the entire appropriations bill fails. That's it. Done. You have to go back to the drawing board. So effectively, the government of South Africa halts to a standstill because there's no money for these departments to do anything. Now, you might say, well, that's actually not too bad because they keep wasting our money, and you are correct. But there's also some good that they do with that money, right? So all of that slows down, all of that stops until they can find a way around the issue. Now, they have said that they're going to go to the to Action SA. The problem going to Action SA, a member that has in the past voted alongside the ANC on matters like the budget, for example, earlier, is that the Action SA has already made it clear that they will not vote for the defense budget, the labor and employment budget, and the higher education budget, which coincidentally, two of those, the labor employment and the higher education bill, are also DA ones that they will not vote for. Without the support of Action SA, the ANC kind of has to rely on the EFF or the MK. And since both EFF and the MK sort of doesn't want the GNU to succeed or the government to succeed because they do want to be in government, they have every incentive to just go, well, we won't vote for these either. And that's effectively where it will stand. Now, the ANC, through various insiders, have made it very clear that this is the end for them. They no longer believe that the DA can be worked with or can be spoken to. As one person said within the ANC, the DA has been pushing the ANC against a wall, and they will meet up with huge resistance. They are gradually getting out of tune with what the GNU is about. This is a top advisor for the government that said that. You also have the DA chief whip, George McCallickis, said in an interview on Tuesday that the DA was aware that if a majority cannot be secured for a single vote, then the whole appropriation bill fails, and they genuinely just don't really care about it. Now, McCallickis, or the DA at least, insists that the budget process and our presence in the GNU are two separate things. Of course, they have to say this because the DA doesn't want to be seen as the party that blows up the GNU. Instead, they want to force the ANC to be the party that blows up the GNU, because then when things go wrong, they can tell South Africans, look at what the ANC had wrought, right? So for them, there's something they have to say. Now, the big problem that we have here is that when you listen to Musi Maimane, who's been trying to get the DA and the ANC to work together, you find there is very little love lost left within the GNU. Parliament is sleepwalking into a budgetary crisis. There is no management of engagement to ensure that the votes have a majority. I have tried to rally people together to say this bill has to pass or else, but my impression is that the ANC has had enough of the DA and the DA has had enough of the ANC, and there is no dialogue between them. Now, the ANC is setting up a special NEC meeting very, very soon. And according to members inside the ANC that spoke to News 24, one of the items on that bill is going to be the discussion of the DA within the GNU. They already wanted to set up this NEC meeting all the way back with the first budget crisis that we had earlier this year. But the top 7 of the ANC said, no, we don't need the NEC. We're going to just get the budget passed some other way. Now this meeting is coming up, and it needs to be mentioned. There are factions within the ANC that desperately hates the DA, that doesn't want to work with the DA, that would be far happier working with MK or with the EFF because it would allow for a lot more looting to happen. So these factions are going to be pushing hard, and Cyril Ramaphosa, being the ever sort of president that wants to keep the ANC together, if these factions are able to convince the majority of the NEC that it's time to break with the DA, they will do it, because the ANC doesn't care what South Africans think. They don't believe that they can lose. So from their perspective, if the DA has become too much of a nuisance, they'll just break it up and they'll go either into minority government or they'll go with the EFF or the DA or the MK. Fundamentally, we are now at a crossroads. This is the end of the road. I believe the GNU was never going to last. I never thought that it will see the end of its cycle. In fact, I gave it a maximum of 2 years. But seeing as how they're dealing with each other, seeing as how problems are being solved within the GNU, it became super clear to me that if it can see the end of this year, I will be surprised. The only thing now that South Africans, I guess, can kind of hope for is that both the ANC and the DA plays this who will wink first game. And so that neither wants to be seen as the one that blew up the GNU, and that sort of keeps them together. But that would still be disastrous for the country because the budget appropriation bill will not pass. You're going to have consistent pushback from the DA towards anything the ANC does, as well as from the DA side. Anything they do will get pushback from the ANC, as both of these parties will now try and make the other parties' existence within the GNU more and more tenuous. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel. Do you think the GNU should survive? Do you think it's important that both the DA and the ANC continue to push for more and more GNU? Or do you think, look, the GNU had a purpose, but that purpose is only important if it actually delivers on a better future for South Africa? And since that better future clearly isn't coming, there's no real point in this continuing whatsoever. Let me know. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, hit the like if you liked, the dislike if you didn't, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Peace.